Useless. It shattered again.
The Titan's armored hide had turned countless blades to scrap, and now Taro would be another name on the memorial.
Another soldier dead because of these worthless blades. I can't keep repairing the same failure.
Kazuki spent his days mending the shattered ODM blades, each fracture a ghost of someone who didn't come back.
There has to be a way to forge steel that bites into that armor. A different fold, something lost.
He followed rumors to a blackened ruin on the edge of town, the workshop of a smith who had died in a fire a generation ago. Beneath a collapsed beam, a stash of scorched notes survived, diagrams of a folding technique he had never seen in any armory manual.
These folds, they're designed to spread force. If I can master this, the blades won't shatter on impact.
Night after night, he hammered and quenched, but the steel kept cracking. The old method was punishing, almost impossible to reproduce. He didn't yet know why the master smith had been silenced. All he knew was that if this technique worked, it would break the cycle of death. Months blurred. Failed blades piled in the corner, silent testimony.
The folds keep collapsing. Is the cooling wrong? Or am I just not good enough?
Other smiths mocked him. Corpse polisher, they called him. All he touched was death.
They can laugh. If I stop, more soldiers' day. I owe Taro. I owe Taro. I owe them all.
He returned to the notes and saw it. The quenching oil had to be heated to forging temperature. He folded the steel 14 times, plunged it into warm oil. The steam hissed with a new sound.
No cracks, no fractures. This time, it held.
He brought a slab of Titan hide to the bench and swung the blade.
It sliced clean through, like it was paper. I actually did it.
A blade that could cut armor existed. But a forge is not a battlefield. The real trial lay ahead. Weeks later, Captain Elias of the Scout Regiment arrived at the soot-stained forge. Rumor of a stubborn smith had reached him.
You claim your blade won't shatter? I've heard that before, boy. Show me proof.
Kazuki wordlessly handed over the blade. Its edge gleamed with a temper line unlike any standard weapon. Elias tested it against a chunk of hardened Titan hide from his own kit. The blade bit deep without a notch. He took it on the next expedition. In the chaos of Titan territory, an armored behemoth emerged. Elias dove, ODM wires shrieking, and struck the nape. The blade sliced through. Clean. He returned to the walls carrying the Titan's head. The blade was undamaged. The scouts had their answer. Word spread through the corps. Soldiers trickled to Kazuki's door, then flooded it.
They all want one. I can barely keep up, but every blade I make might save a life.
For now, there was only the hammer and the fire, but Kazuki knew the quiet wouldn't last. The Royal Weapons Guild did not miss the cries of soldiers, only the danger to their ledgers. A report landed on a mahogany desk.
A soot rat is making blades that don't break. Send the enforcer. By his method or burn it.
That night, a cloaked figure emerged from the alley behind Kazuki's forge.
The guild is generous. Hand over your folding technique. You'll be rich, boy, and no one gets hurt.
Rich? They've let soldiers die for years. Now they want my work. Not a chance. I won't sell. These blades save lives. I won't hand them to people who profit off broken ones.
Refuse, and you'll find your precious forge is very flammable. The guild doesn't take no for an answer.
He slipped back into the darkness, leaving the threat coiled in the air like smoke.
They'll come for me, but I can't stop. Not when soldiers finally have a blade that works.
He barred the door and stared at a broken blade on the bench. The quiet was over. The fight had come to him. Within days, the guild master stood before the scout command, a ledger in one hand and a threat in the other.
Ban the soot rat's unlicensed blades, or the guild halts every ODM gear shipment. Your soldiers can fight titans with bare hands.
This is extortion. Those blades have saved more lives than your defective scrap ever did.
But the guild's grip was absolute. Command surrendered. A cease production order was stamped in red ink.
They've banned my blades. Now what? Soldiers will go back to breaking weapons on every Titan.
For an hour he sat motionless, the broken blade on the bench catching the last light. Then he stood.
I won't abandon them. If they need these blades, I'll forge them in the dark.
That night, with his shutters bolted, the forge roared again, illegally, desperately. Each spark felt like a stolen breath. The ban hadn't stopped him. It had only moved the war underground. He was now a criminal by decree, and the guild had only begun to tighten the noose. The enforcer's eyes never left the forge. Scouts were still too well armed. The guild master's patience snapped. Sabotage was cheaper than negotiation. A rock smashed the shutter. Cloaked figures entered, the enforcer and his brute, and swung a sledgehammer. The anvil cracked in two. Sharp steel dissolved into useless pig iron. The forge went silent.
They didn't just threaten, they took my anvil. How do I forge without an anvil? I won't stop. I'll weld it back. They want me to quit, but I'll just get louder.
He dragged the cracked anvil to the forge and welded the iron back together, scar upon scar.
This forge has more scars than I do, but every scar is a reason to keep burning.
He needed answers. The old master's notes had answers, but what else was hidden in that burnt workshop? He decided to return to the ruins. Maybe the fire hadn't covered all the truth. Under a moonless sky, Kazuki returned to the charred skeleton of the old master's workshop. He knelt where the floor had crumbled and tested each board until one shifted under his weight. Inside the hollow, wrapped in oiled leather, lay a journal untouched by the flames.
A journal. He hid this deliberately. What did he want someone to find?
The guild demands my method. They say I must sell only to them or face ruin. I refused. They will not stop. I fear for my life and for the knowledge. If you are reading this, the fire was theirs. They have killed me to bury the steel.
They murdered him. The guild killed him to keep the blades fragile. It's not incompetence, it's design.
The weight of a generation of betrayal settled onto Kazuki's shoulders. Now he held the proof in his hands, and the guild would burn the world to keep it hidden. Kazuki found the enforcer in a corner booth of the Black Anvil Tavern, ale in hand, and malice in his eyes.
You killed the old smith, Jiro. You burned his workshop to silence him.
Jiro, that fossil. He should have taken the guild's gold. Instead, he chose to burn.
You killed him to keep blades fragile. Thousands died for your greed.
Who will believe a soot rat? Your word against the guilds. You'll die with your secrets.
I'll shout it from the rooftops. I'll print it. Every soldier will know what you are.
When you vanish, no one will look. That's the guild's promise.
He tossed a coin on the table, and the tavern door swallowed him into the night.
They won't scare me into silence. I have the journal. I have the truth.
Kazuki left the tavern with the journal pressed to his chest. The forge waited, and so did the guild. That night, the enforcer returned. 4 cloaked figures moved through the alley, torches dripping with pitch. They smashed the shutters and hurled oil-soaked torches. The forge erupted in orange fury. Inside, Kazuki shoved the journal and notes into a leather satchel, choking on smoke. He kicked out the back window and tumbled into the alley, flames licking his heels. Outside, he staggered against a wall, leather apron smoking, gasping for air. The enforcer watched the forge burn from the shadows, then vanished with his thugs. By dawn, the forge was a black skeleton. Core gossip said Kazuki had died in the blaze, but Captain Elias scoured the alleys. He found Kazuki slumped against a wall, barely conscious.
Kazuki, you are alive. Stay with me. I know a safe house.
The notes. They'll never burn this knowledge away.
3 days later, a public notice from the Royal Weapons Guild appeared. It branded Kazuki's blades fraudulent and hazardous.
Hazardous? My blades saved lives while theirs broke on armor. This is a lie to bury the truth.
They're smearing you to make soldiers doubt your work. The guild controls the official word.
If I am dead in the Corps' eyes, what else can they believe? I need to fight back with ink and paper.
In the cramped safe house, bandaged and battered, Kazuki began to write a pamphlet, the folding method, step by step.
I'll make it so simple. Any village smith can follow it. If I die, the knowledge survives.
Distributing this will make you a bigger target. The guild will hunt you across every wall.
Let them. I've already lost my forge. They can't take what I've put into everyone's hands.
Meanwhile, the enforcer scoured the underworld for the journal. He knew the boy had survived the fire. By week's end, the first draft was complete, 12 pages of diagrams and instruction, ready to be shared. Captain Elias slipped the first bundle of pamphlets into the hands of trusted scouts and at 3 small village smithies. The method was loose. At a dusty forge in Oakvale, a young smith named Hannah stared at the diagrams. 14 folds, warm oil quench. This is madness, but she tried. Days later, a blade emerged from the oil with that same gleaming temper line. Her test cut split a hide clean.
The formula is spreading. 3 smithies in Oakvale alone. Silence them before every peasant with a hammer becomes a competitor.
But inside command, the mood had shifted. A major sat with Captain Elias, reviewing a report of a soldier cutting down an armored titan with a village-forged blade.
The guild called these blades hazardous, while their own shattered on impact. The proof is in the field.
The major made a decision that would fracture the guild's monopoly. He tore the cease production order in half.
It's working. Hana forged it. The monopoly is cracking. But the guild won't go down quietly.
If they open the gates, we'll drown. Find the soot rat, find the journal, and kill the method at its throat.
The first village blade gleamed on a weapons rack in the core barracks. The guild's lie was unraveling, but the hunt for Kazuki had just turned lethal. The enforcer's throat had been slit, but someone else had been listening in the shadows of the tavern. At the safe house, Kazuki tied the last bundle of pamphlets as Captain Elias watched the door.
Soot rat, you thought you could hide? Give up the journal, or the captain dies.
They found us. The journal is under my tunic. I can't let them have it, but Elias...
Kazuki out the back window. Don't let them take the instructions. I'll hold them off.
Kazuki dove through the frame and tumbled into the wet alley. The cold stone scraped his bandaged hands. Inside, a struggle ended with a sickening crunch. Elias was pinned, a blade at his throat.
The smith slipped away, but we have his protector. Word will spread. Hand over the journal by dusk, or we execute this worm.
Elias gave himself for me. If I hand over the journal, I bury the truth. If I don't, I bury him.
The guild had turned the game. The boy was no longer just a hunted smith. He was a man with an impossible choice and a deadline. In the dark alley, Kazuki pressed the wet journal against his chest. Something under the leather cover felt thicker than before. A hidden flap in the cover held a folded parchment. Guildmaster's private ledger, Q4 572. Rejected Jiro's blade after deliberate quench tampering. Profit up 40%.
They didn't just murder Jiro. They've been sabotaging every batch, turning profit from soldiers' corpses. If I hand this over, the ledger disappears. Elias would never forgive me, and neither would the dead.
Muffled voices drifted from a patrol passing nearby. Elias is as good as dead. The guild won't risk a loose end.
They'll execute him either way. The only leverage I have is this evidence, and time is running out.
He followed the patrol to the old tannery the guild used as a holding cell. Through a cracked window, he heard the enforcer's voice.
The captain hangs at dusk regardless. The journal is just a bonus. The guildmaster wants the smith's head on a spike.
Then I'll give them a choice they can't refuse. The journal for Elias, but only if I can bait them out.
He tore a page from the journal, wrapped it around a rock, and hurled it through the tannery window. Fire, he shouted, and the oil lamps flared inside the tannery. The oil-soaked rafters roared to life. Thugs stumbled through black smoke, the enforcer shouting orders. Kazuki slipped through a side door, a broken blade in his grip. Through the haze, he saw Elias hanging by iron chains. Elias's face was smeared with blood, one eye swollen shut. The iron manacles bit into his wrists.
Kazuki, you fool. The enforcer will be back any moment. Get out of here.
Drop the blade, soot rat. Give me the journal, and I'll let the captain die quickly.
He'll kill us both anyway. But if I can get Elias out the window, the river is right below. You want proof? Read this and burn.
As the enforcer snatched the paper, Kazuki slashed the chains and heaved Elias toward the broken window. The captain plunged into the dark water below. Kazuki slammed the shutter shut and turned to face the enforcer alone.
Now it's just us. The journal is still on me. I'll either walk out or the truth burns with me.
The enforcer squinted at the smeared parchment, his sneer crumbling as he read the sabotage records, dated and signed by the guild master.
You kept proof? This paper will burn the guild itself.
A burning beam crashed between them, and the parchment ignited, curling into black cinders in the enforcer's grip.
There goes the only physical proof, but the journal is still mine. If I die here, it all dies with me. Fire's on my side. Enforcer, burn with your lies.
The enforcer parried with a gauntleted arm, then hurled Kazuki against a smoldering support beam. Pain exploded through his ribs. Through the smoke, Kazuki saw the broken window. He pressed one hand over the journal and lunged toward the opening.
Stop him. He's getting out with the journal.
Kazuki plunged through the window, the journal clutched to his chest. The cold river swallowed him whole.
The ledger is gone, but the method lives. I'll print until every smith holds the key, and the guild will swing in the wind.
Kazuki surfaced downstream, gasping, the journal wrapped in oilcloth but waterlogged. The tannery glowed behind him. Captain Elias crawled out of the reeds, one arm hanging uselessly, but alive.
You jumped in after me? Idiot. But thank you.
He's alive. That's all that matters. But the enforcer will report to the guildmaster. They'll never stop.
The two dragged themselves into the sewers, finding a maintenance grate they could seal from inside. A bell tolled across the city. The guild had posted a new bounty. Wanted dead, the soot rat smith and his traitor captain, 20 gold coins each.
20 gold. Every lowlife will be hunting us. We can't hide forever.
You have the journal. I have a few scouts still loyal. We can publish openly tomorrow at the Central Market. It's a trap, but it's the only way.
If I go public, the guild will try to kill me there. But if I don't, they'll kill us in these sewers and bury the truth. I have to do it.
He tore the last dry pages of the journal free and began copying the method onto stolen parchment. The sun would rise in 4 hours. By dawn, 30 hand-copied pamphlets were folded under Kazuki's tunic. The original journal he sealed in a leather tube and hung around his neck. Elias pushed open the grate. The Central Market stretched before them. Gray light, a wooden gallows freshly built.
They built a gallows. That's my stage. The entire guild will be watching.
There's a dozen guild thugs by the fountain. The enforcer is on the scaffold. Still want to do this?
He's giving me an out. But if I run, I'll die in a sewer with no one ever knowing the truth.
Kazuki stepped into the open, pamphlets clutched tight. Whispers spread like wind through the crowd.
Well, the soot rat returns, come to beg for a quick hanging.
I am here to teach every man how to forge a blade that won't break. Catch.
He hurled the pamphlets into the air. Pages fluttered above the crowd like white flags of war.
Now they can't put the secret back. The guild will try to kill me, but the truth already has wings.
The enforcer's face twisted as the crowd grabbed dozens of pamphlets. His carefully built monopoly was scattering like dry leaves.
Ignore him. He's a criminal, a liar. The registry will hang anyone who forges these blades.
But a village smith near Kazuki raised a pamphlet and shouted, "My daughter cut down a titan with this steel. It works."
The method belongs to no one. Jiro died for it. Now every forge will be free of your poisoned quench tanks.
The enforcer leaped from the scaffold, a hidden dagger glinting, but Elias surged from the crowd and caught his wrist.
You don't get to kill the only man who saved my squad. You are done, enforcer.
Other scouts seized the thugs. The enforcer was forced to his knees before the same gallows built for Kazuki. Kazuki pulled the leather tube from his neck and held Jiro's journal high. Here is the truth, a ledger of murder. In the guild district, the master heard the distant roar of the crowd. He grabbed a bag of gold and slipped through a hidden door.
The guild won't get away this time. Every smith will hold the method, and no throne can hide them from the dead.
Kazuki and Elias led a dozen scouts along the riverbank, Following tracks the guildmaster left in his panic,
He's heading for the old quarry. There's a hidden forge there, the guild's emergency retreat.
the cave mouth yawned open. Inside, a compact forge glowed, an anvil, a quench tank, and a bag of gold beside a trembling guildmaster.
Stay back. I'll buy my way out. The merchant's circle owes me. You can't touch me.
You made a fortune on broken blades. But soldiers aren't coins, and Jiro's ghost is here.
The guildmaster snatched a hammer and lunged. Kazuki twisted aside, grabbing the man's arm and forcing him against the anvil. Scouts swarmed inside and pinned his arms. The guildmaster's legs crumpled. By dawn, the guildmaster walked in chains to the capital. His ledgers were open to the public, every corrupt contract exposed. A decree rolled out from command. The ODM blade monopoly was dissolved. The folding method became public domain, free for any smith to use.
It's done. Jiro didn't die for nothing. Every blade that cuts a titan now carries his name.
The trial lasted 3 days. The hidden ledger left no room for doubt. Every sabotage was recorded in the guildmaster's own hand. The court convicted him of mass murder and treason against the core. The penalty was execution and public erasure.
You fools. I was the guild. The blades will stay broken without me.
The gavel struck. Soldiers led the guildmaster to the dungeons while the city erupted in cheers. Across the walls, new blades emerged from every smithy. The pamphlet had become a silent army. A scout sliced a titan's nape with a village-forged blade. It cut clean. It did not chip. At the blackened shell of his old forge, Kazuki cleared the rubble. He built a new anvil from scavenged stone.
No contracts, no guild. Just steel and fire, the way it should have been.
Command wants to award you a medal. You saved more lives than any general.
I don't need a medal. Just promise me the method stays free.
Then it's free, forever. Command will engrave the method in the Hall of Memory.
Inside the rebuilt forge, a young refugee girl swung a hammer as Kazuki guided her hands. The first free apprentice.
Hit it here. The folds must be tight. This blade will save someone's child.
In a distant smithy, Hana hung her 10th blade on the rack. A soldier's mother wept as she paid with bread and a thank you. The core rode out. A titan fell to a blade that still bore the forging scale of a nameless apprentice. Kazuki watched the last sunrise of that year through his forge window. The scars on his hands ached less than usual.
Jiro, we did it. They broke your forge, but your steel is in every hand now.
A ghostly image of the old master shimmered above the new anvil, a faint, approving nod. Then he was gone. The pamphlets outlasted the guild. They crossed every wall, passed from smith to soldier to child. The unbroken forge stood open, and no one would close it again. The days grew shorter, but the forge never closed its doors, not even when the hammer rested. The glow remained.
No more running, no more hiding. Just the work and the fire, like it was meant to be.
The young apprentice hung her first blade on the rack. The tang bore the same temper line as the master's. A squad of scouts passed, their scabbards glinting. A soldier touched his blade and nodded to the smith. Jiro's journal rested on a shelf above the anvil, no longer a secret, but a testament to what one man could endure. At night, the forge glowed like a beacon, a promise kept to a dead smith and a lost generation.
These hands have held broken blades and shattered chains. Now they hold a future that no one can steal.
A faint, ghostly hand rested on Kazuki's shoulder. The old master's spirit smiled and then was gone. The unbroken forge stood in the moonlight, its sign a cipher of defiance to anyone who would hoard life. Inside, a single blade gleamed on the anvil, steel that would never break, forged by a boy who simply refused to let it.